All right, Murray State head coach Dean Hood, the Racers, preseason OVC favorites. They're going to open the season with Mississippi Valley State, and that will be on Thursday night. They'll be at home. It's the second all-time meeting between the two schools. So, Coach, just talk about getting through the fall camp and the seasons here. Just a little bit about your team, and then we'll go to some questions.
Yeah, our guys are, we've been here since July the 1st, started with some conditioning and weightlifting and that type of thing. And the guys are, definitely, we're definitely looking at being ready to play against somebody else. We've been banging on each other now. You get 29 days, you get 25 practices in, and this is really a Thursday. When you're looking at getting ready for a Saturday game that's on Thursday, so this is really like a Thursday practice for us. We got one more, and then it's game day. So they're definitely tired of whacking on each other and going against each other. They're ready to play an opponent.
Thanks, Coach. Again, anybody has any questions, you can either let me know down in the chat and I can call on you, or you can just unmute yourself and ask away. I'll start with this question first, Coach, and then we'll let others ask. Just tell us about Mississippi Valley State. What can you tell us about them? What have you seen on tape, and what do you expect on Thursday?
Most of the teams, in the SWAC, when you look at the conference, very, very big humans up front, offensive line, defensive line, and very skilled, guys that can really, really run, at the skilled positions. And Mississippi Valley State is one of them. They've got 3 all conference preseason, guys. They got a, DB Caleb Brunson. It's a great player. Caleb Johnson, a running back, and then a really, really big defensive lineman for him, Jerry Gardner. And then, you can tell from their 2 deep from the spring to the fall that they've helped themselves, in the transfer portal as well. One of those guys being Connor Reagan, a transfer from Northern Colorado, a guy that can, really throw the football. And they've got their starter back, from the spring in the Easton kid, who played 3 games for him and was really productive, really good athlete. And they're skilled in the special teams, area as well, as far as their returners. And then they got, one guy that does it all for them, kicks, punts, kicks off, really solid as well. And, Coach Danzy's a defensive guy, so when you watch his team, I see a lot of, things like us where you can see a defensive minded, head coach where he's, put a premium on some things, toughness and playing sound technique and those types of things. So it'll be a big, big challenge for our guys come Thursday night.
Okay, we'll open up to other questions from the media for Coach.
Coach, this is John Wright from the Murray Laser Times. Is there any way to measure how much y'all want to get on that field after the success y'all had last season?
Well, really it's the success we didn't have that's got them itching. Those last 2 games really, stuck in our guys' crawl, and that's the thing I think motivating them. I think you would have to probably worry about complacency and being a little bit too big for your britches and all those kind of things if we had beaten Jacksonville or Austin Peay or both, coming into this thing. But with that humble pie we ate in the last 2 weeks of the season, they're pretty hungry group of guys right now.
Next to Hayes Gardner. Go ahead, Hayes.
Coach, this is Hayes Gardner with the Louisville Courier-Journal. I'm curious, with the brief off season this year as compared to any other year of football, what adjustments have you had to make playing from the spring and now playing in the fall?
Well, really, I was, now looking back on it, I think there probably should have been more of a concern of physically how they were going to be coming off of Christmas and Thanksgiving and laying around on their couch and eating potato chips and watching football games, and then coming in and trying to play a season in the spring than what we went through right here. Because, first of all, we were very blessed and didn't have a whole lot of injuries, from the spring season. But then we gave them 6 weeks off. They went home. They were at their home for 6 weeks, gave them a workout to do on their own, and then had from July 1 until August 4th to then build off of that foundation to get them ready for, August 4th camp, where we'd get, 29 days to get 25 practices in. So I feel like we're, maybe maybe I'll feel different when you get, 3/4 of the season done and say, holy Moses, that was just too much to have a spring, schedule and then turn around and have a fall. But by looking at our guys and looking at the training room report, we're not in bad shape.
Got time for follow-ups if anybody has a follow-up, or if anybody else hasn't asked a question, has a question.
Yeah, this is John Wright again from the Murray Ledger Times. When we think about Mississippi Valley State, we think of the days of Jerry Rice coming out of there, them throwing the ball all the way around, and now you tell us that they're kind of a defensive-oriented team. That's a little bit of a strange thing to hear from Miss Valley State.
Well, they still throw it around. Now, when they had the Easton kid, they were running it a bunch, at the quarterback, position. He had 51 carries in 3 games. Now Connor Reagan's a different dude, and he's got all kinds of targets to throw it to. Like I said, that league, you talk about some amazing athletes, guys in the NFL that came out of that league. There's always very, very athletic guys, at the skill position. So he's going to have plenty of guys to throw the ball to. And besides Caleb Johnson, will have other running backs that he can hand it to as well.
And this is Hayes again with the Courier Journal. I have one follow-up just about the bizarre nature of the past year plus. Last spring, what were some of the more bizarre circumstances that your team had to deal with? Was it snow on the ground in preseason? Was it having so many, virtual meetings, things like that? What were some of the bizarre things that you dealt with that you never dealt with before?
Well, first bizarre thing was we're actually playing football in the spring when rather than going out on the road spring recruiting and just having spring ball and being nice and relaxed. So that was the first thing. But obviously the COVID protocols was all new, so something that we hadn't gone through, with the weekly testing, and then with somebody having symptoms and then getting contact tracing, and then being concerned about shuffling guys around because this guy's not going to be available. All that stuff was crazy. And then just what you said with the weather, we had an ice storm. We're supposed to play Southeast Missouri. We had an ice storm. They had an ice storm, and it was I was talking to Kevin Soller, AD, and I'm like, I don't know what it looks like up at their place, but we can't even practice on our field. And we practiced in a gym for, I couldn't even tell you, maybe 5, 6, 7 days in a row. And I'm like, we're not going to be ready. There's no way we can play a game, practice in a gymnasium, then go out there and play. Well, they felt the same way, and then come to find out their field was not going to be ready. There's no way they could have gotten it ready to play a game. So we had the OVC had made a week 2 open date for everybody, and so we slid that game to there and ended up with UT Martin. So COVID and weather were 2 big issues, especially early on.
Thanks.
Coach, a lot of questions about the shortness of the season. What are the advantages, though, of maybe playing a little bit quicker and having played in the spring and maybe gotten some people some extra experience going into this year?
So, can you say that again? I'm sorry.
Yeah, what are some of the advantages of having played in the spring and then now playing quickly? Maybe getting some extra people some experience, or maybe there's some carryover where they won't have forgotten everything that they learned during the spring season.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing was, the losses were fresh, in our guys' mind. And then also the playbook was fresh, so there wasn't a year-long, deal between coming back and knowing the playbook and everything. So I think our guys picked up quicker than you normally would when you go from fall to fall.
I got one more, and if anybody else has one, let me know. Just open the season on a Thursday night. We got 5 OVC teams playing on Thursday. So, a lot of times you do that to open the season. So just thoughts on playing in front of your crowd on a Thursday.
Really excited for our kids, excited for our fans, excited for the students, because a lot of times that's when you play on a Thursday night, the kids will stay around, not go home for the weekend. And hopefully that'll be the case for our guys. We're just ready to play a game, in the fall. And like I said at the beginning, play a game against, have anything where you're hitting somebody that's, doesn't have same color jersey as you have on.
Anybody else? Last chance questions for Coach Hood. Coach, appreciate your time this morning. We'll talk to you again next Tuesday at the same time.
Okay, thanks.